evening, my dear friends. Have you ever been in a relationship with someone who truly cared for you, only to find yourself watching that person walk away? Now imagine, after time has passed, you sit in the quiet of your own thoughts, wondering, what could I have done differently? Let me take you on a journey of realization that many men experience, but by then it's too late. Today we'll talk about the 3 things men regret after losing a good woman. A loss that brings with it not only emotional pain, but a deep sense of regret that echoes for years. If you've ever questioned why things went wrong, or if you are someone who's trying to avoid making those same mistakes in the future, this speech is for you. Don't just watch this. Absorb the lessons and insights that can change your perspective on relationships, making you a better partner, friend, and individual. Understanding the true worth of a good woman is something that many men only come to realize after she's no longer part of their life. In relationships, it's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day routine, assuming that the love, support, and effort from the other person will always be available. But when a good woman is truly in your life, she is a force that impacts you in ways that often go unnoticed until it's too late. Today, let's define who the relationship super is and try to decide if she is only creating it for us or if she's leveling up, and sometimes even many men fail to recognize her value, thinking she will always be there, believing her love is unconditional and limitless. However, what they don't realize is that a good woman is not just someone who loves you. She is someone who invests emotionally, mentally, and physically into the relationship. She provides stability, comfort, and a sense of security, qualities that are often taken for granted until they are no longer there. This failure to appreciate her value stems from the tendency to overlook what is constant and consistent. When everything seems to be running smoothly in the relationship, there's little reason to pause and reflect on just how much she contributes. She might be the one who helps resolve conflicts, supports you through difficult times, or even challenges you to grow into the best version of yourself. But these actions may go unnoticed because they are so woven into the fabric of the relationship. It's only when the relationship starts to fall apart, or when she walks away, that men realize just how much her presence meant. The realization can be jarring, as it hits men with the realization that the support they once took for granted is no longer available, and that it's unlikely they will find someone who offers the same level of care and understanding. We all hear stories of big losers, of busyness and health. They lose their job. Appreciating a woman's value is not just about recognizing the tangible things she brings into your life. It's also about acknowledging the emotional support, the empathy, and the strength that she offers, sometimes without asking for anything in return. Many men regret not expressing gratitude for her efforts and for the love that she continuously gave. There may be times when men get caught up in their own lives or priorities, forgetting to acknowledge the sacrifices a woman makes in her efforts to make the relationship work. When she's gone, men are left to reflect on those moments they overlooked, and the regret of not truly appreciating her can feel like a heavy burden. This lack of appreciation is also tied to a misunderstanding of love. Some men may assume that love is a given, that it doesn't need to be constantly nurtured or cherished. But love is not static. It's something that requires attention, care, and respect. A good woman gives her all, and if she feels that her contributions are unappreciated or taken for granted, she may eventually withdraw. The absence of her presence serves as a wake-up call, forcing men to face the uncomfortable truth that they didn't value her enough while they had the chance. The regret that follows this realization can be profound. Men often find themselves wondering what went wrong, searching for answers in places where there are no clear solutions. The regret is not just about losing a partner, but about losing someone who played an irreplaceable role in their life. This is why it's so important for men to understand and appreciate the value of a good woman while they still have the opportunity. Selfishness is the least important of the values of a home and of good woman. Selfishness is the least important. Only by recognizing her worth can they truly cherish the relationship and avoid the painful realization that comes too late. Recognizing the value of a good woman is not just about avoiding regret. It's about building a relationship that is strong, fulfilling, and rooted in mutual respect and appreciation. It's about realizing that love isn't something to be taken for granted, and that those who truly care for you deserve to be treated with the utmost respect and gratitude. Understanding this early on can not only save a relationship, but also lead to deeper emotional growth and a stronger bond. The second regret that many men experience after losing a good woman revolves around the lack of communication and emotional connection that can plague their relationships. Communication is often seen as a basic element of any relationship, yet it is one of the most frequently neglected aspects. Many men assume that things are understood without needing to express feelings, concerns, or even appreciation. In relationships, emotional connection is not just about saying, "I love you," or offering compliments. It's about fostering a deep, meaningful bond that allows both partners to feel heard, understood, and valued. When this emotional connection is neglected, it creates a disconnect that can slowly tear a relationship apart. Unfortunately, it's not always obvious that communication has become strained until it's too late. Men often overlook the power of vulnerability in their relationships, thinking that by being tough or reserved, they can maintain control or protect themselves from emotional hurt. This reluctance to open up can create a sense of distance and prevent the kind of intimate, heart-to-heart conversations that are necessary for nurturing a strong bond. Over time, the lack of meaningful conversation can lead to feelings of loneliness or misunderstanding within the relationship, even though both partners may still care deeply for one another. When a man fails to communicate his needs, thoughts, and feelings, he is inadvertently creating a rift that can grow wider over time. What started as small, unnoticed gaps in the relationship can eventually become insurmountable walls that make it difficult for either partner to connect emotionally. One of the most common ways men fail to communicate is by assuming their partner knows what they're thinking or feeling without having to say it. This assumption often comes from a place of wanting to avoid conflict or the belief that their partner should be able to understand them intuitively. However, what this often leads to is frustration, as unspoken feelings and needs go unmet. A good woman may try to read between the lines, but without clear communication, even the most thoughtful gestures can miss the mark. She may feel disconnected, undervalued, or unsure of how to support her partner, and without addressing these issues, emotional distance begins to build. The regret that follows this lack of communication is profound, as men come to realize that they missed the chance to build a deeper emotional connection, which was often right in front of them. This emotional disconnect can also manifest in how men handle conflict within the relationship. Instead of talking things through calmly, they may avoid difficult conversations altogether, thinking that time will solve the issue or that avoiding conflict will keep the peace. But ignoring problems doesn't make them go away. In fact, it often causes them to fester, growing larger and more complex as time passes. But the only time a good woman who may have once been patient and understanding may eventually reach a point where she feels emotionally exhausted from trying to bridge the gap alone. The emotional connection weakens, and she may start to question whether the relationship is truly fulfilling. Men often regret not having tackled these issues head-on, especially when they realize that their partner's decision to leave was the result of years of emotional neglect. And what men fail to realize during the relationship is that emotional connection is the glue that holds everything together. It's the foundation upon which trust, love, and mutual respect are built. Without it, even the strongest bond can begin to unravel. Once the woman is no longer there, the realization sets in that the silence, the lack of vulnerability, and the emotional distance were the silent killers of the relationship. The regret comes not only from losing a partner, but from knowing that the emotional distance that led to the breakup could have been prevented with open, honest communication. Men who regret not fostering emotional connection and communication in their relationships will spend a significant amount of time reflecting on the what ifs. What if they had been more open about their feelings? What if they had made the effort to truly listen and understand their partner's emotions? What if they had communicated more regularly about their needs and concerns? These are the questions that arise when a good woman is no longer around to share in those moments of understanding and support. The emotional void left by her absence becomes a constant reminder of the importance of communication in any relationship. Men who have experienced this regret often wished they could go back and rewrite the script, realizing too late that the emotional connection they neglected was the very thing that could have saved their relationship. The third regret that many men experience after losing a good woman revolves around taking her love for granted. It's easy to become complacent in a relationship when things seem to be going well, and when you have someone who constantly supports you, it's easy to forget how much effort they're putting into the relationship. A good woman's love is not passive, it's active, selfless, and often goes unnoticed until it is no longer available. She may be the one who always has your back, whether in the good times or the bad, and her commitment may be unwavering. However, because of the assumption that she will always be there, many men fail to truly recognize the depth of her love and the sacrifices she makes for the relationship. Taking her love for granted often manifests in subtle ways. Perhaps it's the failure to show appreciation for the little things she does, like cooking a meal, handling responsibilities, or providing emotional support when things get tough. These acts of love, though small, are significant, and they often go unnoticed in the busyness of everyday life. Men may become accustomed to receiving love and attention without reciprocating in kind, believing that their partner's love is unconditional and will never waver. This complacency can create a situation where the woman feels undervalued and her efforts start to feel like they are not being recognized. When her love begins to feel like an obligation rather than a cherished gift, it can lead to emotional fatigue and eventually emotional withdrawal. In today's busy world, it's harder than ever to listen to our partner. Another aspect of taking her love for granted is failing to actively nurture the relationships. Relationships require effort from both parties, and love is something that must be continually cultivated and renewed. Men often get caught up in the idea that once they have a partner, the work is done. But the reality is that love is something that must be sustained through ongoing effort, attention, and affection. A good woman will give her best, but if she feels that her love is not being reciprocated or valued, she may begin to feel disconnected, and the bond between her and her partner may begin to weaken. As one man who said, "True love is not enough to endure." The failure to nurture the relationship can create a sense of distance, and when the woman decides to leave, men are left grappling with the realization that they didn't put in the effort required to keep the relationship strong. The regret of taking her love for granted often comes when the man is faced with the reality of her absence. Suddenly, the love that once seemed so abundant is gone, and the man is left to reflect on how much he relied on her presence without ever truly appreciating it. This realization can be devastating because it forces him to face the fact that he neglected someone who was once his constant source of support, care, and affection. End quote. The regret stems from the knowledge that while he was receiving all the love, attention, and care, he didn't take the time to give it back in the same way. In hindsight, he realizes that a woman's love is not a given. It is something that should be cherished, honored, and nurtured in return. Taking a partner's love for granted can also lead to a sense of entitlement. Some men may feel that because their partner has always been there, she will continue to stay no matter what. This sense of entitlement can cause them to become complacent, perhaps failing to put in the work to make the relationship fulfilling and dynamic. They may assume that their partner will always forgive them for their mistakes or overlook their flaws. But love cannot thrive in an environment of neglect, and when a woman feels unappreciated, her desire to stay in the relationship diminishes. The regret that follows this realization can be profound, as men come to understand that they lost someone who gave them her best, only for them to take it for granted until it was too late. The absence of a good woman serves as a painful reminder of how essential it is to never take love for granted. Men often wish they could go back in time and show her the appreciation she deserved. They wish they could go beyond just saying, "I love you," and demonstrate it through actions, through gratitude, and through mutual respect. The absence of her love becomes a void that cannot be easily filled, and it forces men to confront their own mistakes. The loss of a good woman makes them realize that love is not something to be taken lightly. It is a gift that should be appreciated and nurtured every day. The regret of not cherishing that love is one that many men carry with them for years, often wishing they had done things differently while they still had the chance. The fourth regret many men experience after losing a good woman is realizing that they didn't prioritize her in the way she deserved. In the whirlwind of daily life, it's easy to become distracted by work, hobbies, friends, or personal ambitions. Sometimes, men put their own goals and desires ahead of their relationships, assuming that their partner will always be there, no matter how much time or attention they devote to other aspects of their life. However, when a good woman is no longer around, it becomes painfully clear that no success, no matter how great, can replace the void left by a person who is deeply invested in you, emotionally, mentally, and physically. This realization is often accompanied by the guilt of not having prioritized the relationship when it truly mattered. When a man doesn't prioritize his partner, he may fail to show her that she is valued above everything else. A good woman deserves more than just a passing glance or the scraps of attention left over after everything else is dealt with. She needs to feel that she is at the forefront of her partner's thoughts, that her needs, her emotions, and her desires are just as important as his. Marriage is not an individual sport. Business opportunities, missions, and desires are just as important as his. Prioritizing a partner means being present, showing up for her during the good and bad times, and making an effort to maintain the emotional connection that keeps the relationship alive. When a man is distracted by other interests and leaves his partner to fend for herself emotionally, she may begin to feel neglected, unimportant, and invisible. This sense of being overlooked can erode the bond between them, making it harder for the relationship to thrive. The regret of not prioritizing her often sets in when the man realizes that no matter how successful he is in other areas of his life, he has lost the person who truly mattered. In hindsight, the moments that could have been spent nurturing the relationship now feel like missed opportunities. Time that could have been dedicated to showing love, building memories, and deepening the connection is now lost, and with it, the chance to show his partner how much she meant. the chance to show his partner how much she meant. The pain of this regret is not just about the absence of the woman herself, but also about the lost potential of what the relationship could have been had he put her at the center of his world. Men often find themselves wondering why they didn't take the time to make her feel special, why they didn't make her feel like she was their priority, and why they allowed the relationship to slip away while they focused on everything else. Not prioritizing a good woman also means not putting in the effort to nurture and maintain the relationship. Relationships require continuous effort from both partners. It's not enough to be present physically. Emotional investment, regular communication, and acts of love are necessary to keep the relationship strong. Men often get so wrapped up in their daily routines and responsibilities that they forget to invest in their emotional connection with their partner. Over time, this neglect can make the relationship feel more like a routine or a convenience rather than something that is actively being worked on and nurtured. When a man finally realizes that his partner is no longer there, he may feel that the love was lost because he failed to nurture it, and the regret is rooted in the realization that his negligence led to the erosion of the bond. Another aspect of not prioritizing a good woman is failing to make her feel appreciated and respected. In a healthy relationship, both partners should feel as though they are valued and cherished. A good woman brings love, support, and understanding into the relationship, and in return, she deserves to feel respected and acknowledged for the effort she puts into maintaining the connection. When a man fails to prioritize her, he may fail to express his gratitude, fail to show her how much he truly cares, or fail to make her feel like she is his equal. Over time, the lack of recognition and appreciation can take its toll, and the woman may begin to feel unimportant or even taken for granted. The regret of not making her feel valued often hits hardest when she is no longer there to receive that love and respect. Men are left wishing they had done more to prioritize her, to make her feel loved, and to show her that she truly mattered. The absence of a good woman can feel like a reminder of how much was taken for granted. Men often realize too late that no career success, no material possession, or no accomplishment can fill the void left by someone who gave them her heart. The regret comes not from losing her presence, but from the understanding that they didn't give her the attention, care, and effort she deserved while she was still part of their lives. And now it's too late. Many men spend years wishing they could go back and change the way they prioritize their relationship, recognizing that the woman they lost was not just a partner, but a fundamental part of their emotional and personal growth. This realization is a painful one, but it is also a lesson about the importance of making the people who matter the most a true priority in life. The fifth regret many men experience after losing a good woman is the realization that they didn't fully invest in the relationship and didn't put in the necessary emotional work. Love, while powerful, isn't enough to sustain a relationship on its own. It takes more than just feelings to build a strong, lasting connection. It requires effort, communication, empathy, and a genuine willingness to understand and grow alongside each other. Many men, especially early in their relationships, may fail to recognize the level of investment needed for the relationship to flourish. When a good woman leaves, the harsh truth is revealed. Relationships require more than just love. They require active participation and emotional work from both partners. Emotional investment is crucial in maintaining a strong bond between two people. It's about being attuned to your partner's feelings, understanding their needs, and supporting them not just in words, but in action. Unfortunately, many men fall short in this area, failing to recognize that a relationship is not just about sharing good times or getting through tough moments together. It's about consistently showing up, emotionally, for each other. When a man doesn't invest emotionally, the relationship can begin to feel one-sided. The woman may feel like she's the only one putting in the effort, and over time this imbalance creates a sense of disconnection. The regret sets in when the man realizes that he took her emotional availability and support for granted, only to find it missing when she is gone. When men fail to invest emotionally, they also miss out on truly understanding their partner. A relationship is built on knowing and accepting each other, flaws, imperfections, and all. This level of deep connection requires being vulnerable, sharing fears and dreams, and working through difficulties together. Unfortunately, many men may avoid this emotional depth because they fear confrontation, misunderstandings, or simply because they are more comfortable with surface-level engagement. By avoiding emotional work, they inadvertently create distance between themselves and their partner. The regret comes when they realize that they never truly knew the depth of their partner's thoughts and feelings. When a woman leaves, it's not just the loss of her presence that stings, but the fact that they never truly allowed the relationship to grow into something deeper and more meaningful. The failure to invest emotionally can also result in neglecting the emotional needs of the relationship. A good woman's needs go beyond physical affection or acts of service. She needs to feel emotionally supported, valued, and heard. When men don't take the time to provide that emotional care, they